If you thought that Wagon was a good-looking vehicle, you are in for a treat. But this one, this is the best-looking wagon on the planet right now. This is the Volvo V90. Specifically, this is the T6 all-wheel drive, finished in a sublime maple brown metallic. It looks black in some lights, it looks brilliantly brown in others. It is a truly gorgeous shade of paint on an unbelievably handsome wagon. This is the definition of a lovely long roof, and we're taking it for a spin today. Volvo has been on a good run lately, design-wise. They're cranking out some really sharp-looking machines on the outside. The interiors are extremely well done. It's an exercise in stylish simplicity, and it's no different here on this V90. And it shouldn't be, because this is the king of the hill for the Volvo family, the XC90 as well. Anything with a 90 at the end is a full-size vehicle. You can get this in a sedan as well if you want. That's the S90, but the V, sorry, European friends, the V is the one to have. Fully equipped as this one is, it's about $69,000. Base price is in the high 50s. This isn't even the one I want. The one I would want is less expensive. This is an Inscription, which is the slightly fancier version. I actually like the R design, which gets a better looking grille in my opinion. A little bit sharper wheels. You can get it in that really nice blue paint. The paint you cannot get it in is that Cyan Racing blue paint, which comes on the Polestar vehicles, because there is not a Polestar version available yet, and that is a shame. Another version that's not available, well, you can get this in a T5, which is just a standard 2-liter engine, making, I'll look up the number, I don't have it off the top of my head, it's probably 250 horsepower. This one with the T6 gets a twin-charged engine. For those of you who are unaware, twin-charged means 2 charges. No, it means turbocharged and supercharged. Forced induction. Twin dragons! It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it makes 316 horsepower and nearly 300 pound-feet of torque, and it is backed up by an 8-speed gearbox, which if you want to shift to yourself, you can do down here, but there are no paddles on the steering wheel. So with twin charging, what are we doing? Well, the supercharger handles all of the low-end torque off of the line, and then the turbocharger takes over once it's spooled up and is spitting into action. Supercharger does the grunt work, and then the turbo goes, broski, I got it, you can take a break. And it does, so that you're not just spinning the supercharger like crazy. So what that engine does is, through the use of twin charging, you have an engine that is basically ready to party in a small package on a larger vehicle like this. So you can just go kick down and go smoothly, quickly. We are now breaking the speed limit. Oh, we were a while ago. There are different drive modes for this car. You pop this little metal wheel over here where it says drive mode. There's eco for efficient drive, which I've never put the car in. You have comfort, everyday use, which is fine. I generally drive it on dynamic. The throttle feels more responsive, the steering feels a bit heavier, and the ride feels a bit more stiff. This actually has optional air suspension in the rear as well to keep your loads nice and even if you're, filling this thing up. Now, comfort-wise, these seats are great. The light color, though, lends itself to showing dirt. And Volvos pride themselves on being proper family vehicles, and they are. But when my daughter wants to climb into the front seat and help Daddy back the wagon out of the garage, and she puts her shoes on the front seat, it leaves dirt marks. If you have a dog back there, it's going to leave dirt marks. And I mean, it cleans up pretty easily but you're going to be wiping these seats down all the time if you have kids or very messy, disgusting friends. A neat feature though is that comes with a lot of Volvos these days are the built-in bolster seats on the outboard seats back there. That's very cool. My daughter is not of the age where she can use that type of seat yet, so I have to lug around the just rhinoceros-sized car seat. That's how big car seats are these days. They are so goddamn huge, but you gotta do what you gotta do to share your automotive passion with the young one in every vehicle that comes through. Now, because this is the V90 and not the new V60, you have more room inside. There is room to sit behind myself as myself, which is good, and it does make sense if you think about it. Another thing I like on the inside, getting back to that elegant simplicity, the A-pillars for a full-size vehicle are fairly thin, relatively speaking, for a modern car. These days, A-pillars are huge for crash standards. These ones, I think it's the angle of them that lends themselves to looking thinner than they are, and that's great because that improves visibility. Forward visibility is excellent, and you can you stare at that beautiful maple brown metallic paint on the hood. It is lovely. Isn't it lovely? Yes, it is lovely. The wood is nice. It looks like real wood, which they're getting right here. Now, the sore spot for a lot of people who drive these is the center screen, which just looks like a giant iPad. I don't have a problem with it. Every now and then it's a little slow, but for the most part, it is a fairly responsive and good system. Paired with the Bowers & Wilkins audio system, and I'm really in for a treat on a long drive. Be it blasting a hilarious podcast at too high a volume, or thinking I'm not totally just a not cool dad, thinking I'm still a cool young man, and listening to rock and or roll music at very high levels. It works well for that. People have issues with it. I don't really have an issue with it. I think it works fine. It's not as slick as, what might be in a Tesla, but literally every other body panel on this car fits properly, so, that's where the Tesla will lose out. Not that you compare these two cars, but their center screen setup is fairly similar. Driving-wise, this thing is great. It's not a sports car, obviously, but when I am breaking the speed limit on the highway, weaving in and out of California traffic because it's terrible and nobody pays attention, and it is a very selfish driving region of the country, it's moving great. It feels nice and stable with that nice long wheelbase, and the engine is responsive enough, especially when you're in dynamic mode. If I need to tell it which gear to be in, I can do that. When it comes time to haul all that speed in, the brakes respond right when I want them to respond. There's no delay in the pedal press. It's just an all-around wonderful package. Am I looking at it through rose-colored Wagon glasses? I don't think so, because the price is excellent for a full-size, basically luxury vehicle. This thing feels like it should be more expensive than it is until you actually drive a top spec German car. When I'm driving this and I haven't been in an E-Class or an S-Class or an A8 or a BMW 7 Series in some time, you think, why is this $40,000 cheaper than some of its competition? Because theoretically, I would put the S and V90 against something like an A8 or a base S-Class or a 7 Series. In my head, that comparison makes sense. But then you drive one of those and there's just a tiny bit more, there's something extra. There's a little bit more refinement and just properly weighted features that you go, okay, this is where the Germans get the edge. This is where they take the lead. It's just a little something extra. I'm sure there's a German word for what that extra bit of something special is that gives them just an edge over cars like this Volvo. It's a Schackentrageschock. It's a beautiful word from German that describes why those cars are just a notch above. But the price reflects that. Volvo knows that this is not a $120,000 wagon. At just under $70,000, pretty fully loaded, this is excellent. And the one I want is even less because the R design costs less than the Inscription. The one I really want though, which would be more expensive, is not on, you will not find it on the dealer website. I don't even know if you can get it in the US, and if you can, it is definitely special order only, but I doubt you can even get it here. It's the T8 version of this, because that would be the plug-in hybrid with over 400 horsepower, and it would qualify for California's HOV lane, which would make it the best car on the planet at that point. I love this car. I really liked the Jag Wagon. This is better. The Jag Wagon is awesome. Don't get me wrong. The Jag Wagon is wonderful. This is better. Volvo's been cranking out wagons since the dawn of the Ice Age, so they are a little bit more prepared there than what Jag might do. You know, yes, Jag gave us the X-Type. Okay. I don't know what else to say, people. Start buying wagons. Buy wagons! This actually has optional air suspension in the rear as well to keep your loads nice and even if you're, you know, filling this thing up. Some of you are giggling at that whole last turn of phrase there, and I get it, because I am too. Stopped at a red light. Put on your hot light.